Mm-mm-mm. Hello, goblins. It's Chris, Eldritch Pipes. It's an episode of this week's Pipes and Things. Where I like to talk about pipes and occasionally things. What have I been doing this week? I've been watching. So there's a UK series that's been going for quite a few years now, called Ghosts, which I love. And I started to rewatch it when it came to light, because for some reason the BBC is showing it. Apparently there's a US version. I think there's 5 seasons of the UK Ghosts. It's finished now because the guys that did it all have moved on. It's not because we didn't want more ghosts, because we did. And I think the BBC would have been happy to do more ghosts because it was very popular. But the actors have gone on to do other things, which is understandable. So anyway, I started to watch the US version of Ghosts. Now, you may be aware, it's quite common for the UK to do an adaptation of an American show, and for the States to do an American version of a UK show. It happens quite a bit. And the success rate is fairly low. I don't know why our senses of humour don't quite, or at least in adaptation they don't quite work. But historically, they don't. And I have to say, Ghosts doesn't quite work in the US version. It's a bit weird, because I just watched the first 2 episodes, and they are... Okay, so there are some different characters. They've shuffled things around a bit. But in concept and execution, like the story is identical. The actual plot is the same. And in fact, even some of the scenes are nearly word for word scenes out of the UK version. And yet, it's not funny. It's amusing, but it's not funny. And I was really pondering why that was. I just think maybe I found the US writing, I think it's the writing. It's really on the nose, if you know what I mean. They really hammer home the point. It lacks a certain subtlety, I'm afraid to say. So in the UK version, right, one of the ghosts is called Captain. And he has a near direct counterpart in the US version. In the UK version, he's like a World War II captain. And I think in the US version, he's like a independence, like a Civil War era captain. But barring that, they're the same. They're clearly the same character. Now in the UK version, he has this, he's very buttoned up, stiff upper lip, very quite reserved, but there's this little undercurrent of him being gay. And it's this in the background, you might be able to see where I'm going with this. It's like in the background, they just drop these little breadcrumbs. He's closeted. He's not sort of out, but it's there. Where in the US version, he's like basically jumping around the place, declaring that he loves musicals, and he always pleases the men beneath him, sort of thing. Do you get it? Do you get it? He's like, yeah, we get it. So there is that. The writing's just very on the nose. But I'm going to stick with it and see, maybe it'll improve a little bit. Maybe they're just sort of finding their feet with the thing. We'll see. Also, a while back I played Elden Ring and loved it and finished it. I hadn't had a game quite like it, so I started digging back into the From Software catalogue, who's the developer that makes Elden Ring. And Elden Ring is really kind of like the last in the lines, sort of their Dark Souls series. And before those, there was a game called Bloodborne and a game called Demon's Souls. And I've tried Bloodborne and I'm struggling to get on with it, but it's a little bit janky because it's quite old now, Bloodborne. They've done a remastered version of Demon's Souls. So I got it. And it's really good, but man, it reminded me of starting Elden Ring. Everything is just difficult. No matter what path you take, you come up against a brick wall because you're just not good enough. You go, oh, okay, I'll try this direction then. Oh no, I'm not good enough for that bit either. It's not quite open world like Elden Ring is, but it's not like Bloodborne, which is very linear. You can't do the next thing until you've done the first thing. In Demon's Souls, at least they give you like 5 paths, and you can choose somewhat which one you go for, and if you come to a dead end on one path, you can go down the next one. You can try one of the others. So yeah, I'm enjoying it, but it is quite punishing. I haven't said what I'm smoking. Speaking of US versions of English things, I'm smoking Cajun Cake, which is a really lovely plug tobacco. And the reason that I call it a US version of an English thing is it really gives me very strong RDF vibes. It's punchier and not as mysterious as RDF, but it is still that deep, rich, funky, but with more oomph. Cajun Cake has more oomph in it. And slightly less mystique, as I say. But still, really great tobacco. All right. Had a good week this week. It's been fun. It's been extremely non-standard in many ways, although in one way, sort of standard. You'll see at the end. Anyway, let's have a look. Two of these are commissions, and one of these is a Pipe of the Year pipe for spares. So none of these are available, I'm afraid. The first is a reading pipe. In black and green. Black and green contrast stain. I pushed for a black stem on this guy because I just really wanted the stumble to really pop. I didn't want to confuse that with something else in the stem, so I just I chatted to the customer about it because there was the possibility of doing like a moss Cumberland or something like that. But I reckon just a black stem on this guy, and the customer was happy with that. So that's what we did, and I'm glad we did because it kind of keeps this looking classy. If you've not seen my reading pipe before, this is like, there's a couple of features on this guy that make it a reading pipe. One, extra length to keep the bowl sort of away from your face, keep the smoke out of your face. Two, quite a deep chamber, 2-inch chamber at least. Sometimes more, but 2 inches is what I go for on these guys. It's a sitter. Believe it or not, it does sit. So you can just pop the pipe down without wondering, oh, what am I going to do with it? This guy has got some medium craggy plateau on it. Good, what I like for a reading pipe. But there you go. I haven't made a reading pipe in a hot minute, so nice to get one under the belt. Really excellent weather this week. Temperatures like been up in the 15s. Which is just very pleasant. It means I can have the door open. No heater. Oh, you know what? I'll show you this one first before we do the other one last. This guy is this week's strawberry. Nice blast. Ring grain, straight grain in equal definition there. Cordovan sandblast. Nice piece of earth and ivory. Half saddle stem as per usual. I'm quite a few deep in these, which is good because it won't be, I'll hardly have time for a scratch and a look round before it'll be June and July, which is when I'll go into overdrive on those guys. Now, the last one. He's not in a bag because he's still waiting. How am I going to do this? No. Yeah, like that. This is a Brothers of the Yellow Sign pipe. It is one of my cultist variations. As you can see, lots of flowing lines. It's kind of, let's think, Brothers of the Yellow Sign. So it's the King in Yellow, which is an avatar of Nyarlathotep. And he's generally just seen as a kind of, his face is covered by a cloth, like a yellow cloth. So evoking that with the lines. This is his crown in gold leaf. I guess there's a fair bit going on. He just has quite a rugged, unusual feel to him. That is from Yellow Cumberland. So that is very nearly as bright as it looks on camera, as yellow as it looks on camera. Sometimes when I do the olive can look quite yellow on camera, whereas in fact it's more of like a deeper mustard colour. But this is pretty much how it looks. Bright yellow for the King in Yellow. And there you go. The brothers have a new member. It's Friday. Going to see Ghostbusters, The Frozen Empire tomorrow. I've got my fingers crossed that it's going to be really cool. I've heard rumblings from fans that it's really great, but critics are not liking it at all. It's kind of getting panned by critics, so I'm not going to listen to those guys. I'll report back next week. All right, that's it from me. I shall be back, all being well, next week. So until then, take it very easy. The Loyal Pipe Maker.